Hi everyone, welcome back to T's Theses. I hope everybody out there is having a great day today. For today's video, I have something a little different for you. I have a book entitled The Devil on Her Shoulder by author Mags Hayward. And before I begin this video, I have a little disclaimer. And before I begin today's review, I have a little disclaimer for you. This book is listed as a humorous erotica novel, and I'm only saying this because I do have some subscribers that do not like it when I review books that are of a sexual nature. So I just wanted to put that out there first for any of you who do not want to continue on with this video. However, for those of you who are still curious to find out what The Devil on Her Shoulder is about, we will continue on with this video. Another thing about this book is Mags Hayward is actually an independent author. And the reason why I bring that up is because when I first began my YouTube channel, I decided that I was going to dedicate my channel to both traditionally published authors and indie published authors. And it dawned on me a few weeks ago that it had actually been a while since I reviewed an indie author. And one of the reasons why I wanted to dedicate time and reviews to indie authors is because I am actually an independent author myself. And I know a lot of times that independent authors get a bad rap because a lot of times for first-time novelists, when they go to upload their novels, they're not getting an editor to look over their work. And a lot of those novels on Amazon end up having a lot of plot and grammatical errors. And I, as an independent author, was guilty of that when I put out my first novel in my Interwoven series. I mean, there was a lot of stuff that was wrong with that novel. I mean, I had punctuation errors. There were parentheses that were off in the margins. I don't even know what was going on with that novel. And I looked it over and I had two other people look over that novel, and I'm not even really sure how I was able to upload it with all those errors. However, I have gone on to correct all those mistakes, but recently someone who must have gotten a hold of one of those original copies recently reviewed my novel on Amazon and Goodreads and gave my book a 1 star. And they stated that the book sucked so bad it was like drinking buttermilk through a skinny straw. And I myself have never drank buttermilk, but I can only imagine what that must have been like. And I can't be upset because I put that out there in the world. And even though you can go on Amazon and update the current version of any novel that you download, everybody doesn't know that. And again, that's still my fault. I took a chance on someone reading something that wasn't so great. Which brings me back to today's novel, The Devil on Her Shoulder. And some of you who have been following me for a while know that erotica is not something that I usually review. However, I am a member of a website called Book Roar, where independent authors are allowed to upload their novels and other authors purchase those books, review them so that their books can also be read and reviewed as well by other independent authors. So I came across this novel on Book Roar, and one of the reasons why I ended up choosing this one is because lately the pickings have been kind of slim, and most of the novels on there are fantasy novels. And as you can tell, not only do I not read erotica, I don't read fantasy either. And so after going through all the novels that they had on the website for me to choose from and reading some of the looking portions of the book on Amazon, this is the only one that I felt like the author was a pretty decent writer. So I chose this novel to read, and I was a little hesitant about reviewing it, but I felt like, why not? Somebody out there might be interested in this book, and I need to give indie authors a chance. So in Devil on Her Shoulder, we meet a 42-year-old recent divorcee by the name of Sarah. And Sarah is currently on vacation in Cyprus, Asia. And she's hanging out at the pool, looking at all the eye candy that she can see. And while checking out the scenery, her eyes light upon a young man in his early 20s. And at first, she considers that he might be checking her out as well. But being a recent divorcee who has a little bit of insecurities because her husband left her for a younger woman, she quickly dismisses the idea that he might be looking at her as well. However, as her vacation continues to move on, her and the young man by the name of Joe end up having a few more encounters within the resort that they are both staying at. And she finds out that, yes, Joe is interested in her as well. So The Devil on Her Shoulder centers around Sarah's insecurities and her trying to push past the person that she thinks she is versus the person that she's becoming on her vacation. And so she begins to do some things that are different from the normal everyday life that she usually leads. And she's having these wild, intriguing escapades with this younger man, and she at times has to consider if this is a good thing, considering she has two 18-year-olds at home, and this man is only 24 years old, only a few years older than her kids at home. And so she questions her decisions before moving forward. So she's got the devil on her shoulder pushing her, saying, why not go ahead? And of course she's got her conscience telling her, Sarah, you're 42. Why are you having this fling with a 24-year-old man that's barely older than your kids, and you don't know anything about him? So as the vacation goes on, and because it is an erotica novel, we know that she does give in to her desires, and she does, of course, enjoy herself. So for those of you who enjoy a little bit of romance, a little bit of erotica, then you might enjoy this book, and you might also be happy to know that it does end in a happily ever after for those of you who need to have that in the stories that you read. And one of the things about this book for me, even though it had these steamy erotica scenes in it, it just didn't really come off to me as really steamy and erotica. It was a decent read. It's only 205 pages, so it only took me about 3 days to read it. But as I said, the sexy and steamy erotica scenes weren't really, didn't really do it for me. And I think one of the reasons why it didn't really do it for me is because the novel is a bit tame. Even though the author used those big words that are used, to get your attention, the scenes where the couple got together, in my opinion, felt a bit tame. And so it was, for me, just an okay read. But the author does do a good job in her pacing and creating a story, and there's not a lot of overly added information that's not necessary for the story. However, as I said, for me, it felt a bit tame when it came to an erotica novel. But of course, that is just my opinion. But because of that, because I thought the story was a bit tame, however, the author is a good writer, I end up giving the story 3 stars. So if you're looking for an erotica novel that's a bit tame and you have a couple of hours to fill, because I think somebody said that they actually read this book in one day, then you might consider picking up a copy of The Devil on Her Shoulder by author Mags Hayward. So thank you guys again for sticking around until the end of this video. And of course, until next time, you guys take care, stay safe, and try to do something nice for a stranger so we can all do our part to make this world a better place.